Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Moombahton Essentials, guys. We are here. This is our show on here. We're talking about everything Moombahton, under the sun, in the world, across the globe, underground, mainstream, everything. So I'd like to introduce you to a Moombahton legend, a Latin house legend, or just a global-based DJ enthusiast, producer, multitasker. This guy's doing everything. I want to introduce you guys to Los XL. Los XL, let's get him on here. Let's hear this guy.
How's it going? How's it going, everybody?
Hey.
What's up, Mr. Vega?
How you doing, boss? It's good to speak to you.
Good, man. Long time.
Yes, long time in the making. Over 10 years now. We crossing each other's paths.
Yeah, we met 2013 in Miami.
Yeah. Bringing it back. So to start this off, I wanted to play one of my favorite songs from you, and then we'll get right into this whole interview. I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot of questions. I did a lot of homework on you, so I got some stuff to ask that I want to know.
Amazing.
All right, so we're going to get right into Dembo 98, and then we're going to go right into this interview. Can I just tell you that it sounds effortless? Like, it sounds like you made this on the way to make your coffee before you even started your day. Like, you just throwing these out there. Like, it's crazy.
Nah, this one was, I just had fun, man. Like, I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I had so much fun making that. Honestly, probably one of my favorite, too.
100%. So for those that don't know, who is Los XL? That's what I really want to know.
Oh, man. Honestly, I don't even know how to explain it, man. It's Los XL, I don't know, like, it's hard to explain, man. Just a global-based DJ, man, that slash producer that just wanted to make people dance and wants to continue making people dance.
That's awesome. So I'm a fan. Before anything, I'm a fan. I love what you're doing. Like, constant releases. The label you got, CRTV. Like, I'm just a big fan. So I want to know, like, where did the music passion come from? Like, who influenced you? Where did it start? When did it start? Like, those are the things we want to know.
Oh, man. Ever since I was little, man, I was always into music. I'm from Mexico. I grew up over there very young, and I used to visit a lot, too. So one of my uncles was actually in a band over there. So I would see him all the time, and I was always very curious about it. But, you know, never got into music, never learned anything, never played any instruments. And, you know, growing up, man, I was just always digging for something new. And then the crazier part, too, I lived in Houston as well. And back in the day, they used to have these catalogs where you will order CDs through the catalog. And this is old school, super old school.
Yeah.
I was very young. I was maybe like 6, 7. I remember telling my parents, hey, I want this, I want that. You know, I was always curious about music.
For sure.
And just like that, man, it was just, you know, I just little by little just started noticing. And then I moved over here, DC area, and, you know, just started progressing little by little, man. And then after that, like everyone, you know, high school, middle school, skipping parties, man. Best time. And then, you know, I got introduced to reggaeton. And the way I got introduced to reggaeton, I found a CD, a burnt CD of Cripta Número 2.
Oh, man.
And then from there, I'm like, oh, man, what is this?
That's it.
Yep. And then it was just a passion. But I mean, the crazy part is, man, I tried producing early on, but man, there was no tutorials. I mean, back in the day.
Of course. No, YouTube was barely a thing, man.
Yeah, so it was before YouTube when I was gonna start. So I was like, man, I gotta get in the music industry some way. So you know what's funny? I learned how to graphic design, and I got into it that way. So I started getting into the clubs and doing all the club flyers out here in DC. And then little by little, like, yeah, I did that for 2 years. And by the time I hit 18, I was like, okay, it's time to produce again. And that's when YouTube started popping more. And yeah, man, FL Studios at that time. I believe it was like FL Studios 7 or 8 or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was on it since like 3 or 4. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I got started on it, I want to say 2000. Ooh, no, not even, because damn, I'm old. I started high school in 96, so I was on it since like 97. So whatever that version was is when I started on it, and I'm still on it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been a
no,
long time.
I moved on to Ableton after I
I
think
see.
after 10 FL10.
Hmm.
I got tired of the crashes.
Still happens. Still happens. I got that auto save like down pat. I be hitting the shortcuts every 5 seconds. I be having so many versions of the same beat just because I never want to lose it.
No, I heard they got better, and I heard they have a hidden folder too. I don't know if you knew.
Oh yeah, so I just got like the newest version. So like I'm still learning about all the new bells and whistles. I was using 11 FL11 since 2013. I never upgraded.
Yeah, after they made that big change, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I was so afraid. I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. So do you love Ableton more? Like Ableton's like a speedier workflow now?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing, man. You know, the tracks, the channels. It was I think it was harder just mentally to get into it, but once I figured it out, it was the same thing with the channels, and I was like, okay, because I was already using the channels,
Yeah.
so it made sense. But I mean, I love the Ableton Rack where you could just add a bunch of plugins compared to FL
Yeah.
Studio. So
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So your Mexican roots and okay, let me ask you about DC. Are you familiar, which you probably are, familiar with the go-go scene?
yeah, yeah, I definitely heard it a lot. You know, growing up as well. I never got it fully into it until I started hearing it, you know, as I was in high school. Like I started
Hmm.
hearing it a lot more, yeah. But definitely, man, awesome.
So
Awesome
what
music, man.
so what is the scene like in DC as you're growing up? So as you're going through high school, you going to the hooky jams, you listen to reggaeton. Like what is the music scene like at that point? Like your local music scene?
Oh, I feel like it was getting big, especially the Latin. I was always been Latin influenced, so you know, I started with the skipping parties, and then they started throwing like team bashes.
Mm.
I was very I was helping out a lot with that, and then from there, you know, by like 17, I think it was 17, I was already hitting the 18 plus clubs. By 18, I was in the 21 and up clubs. So I was
Mm.
like, I
There you
was more
go.
influenced in the Latin scene, you know, like more than anything. And then an occasional, you know, EDM stuff, you know, and then I believe I got introduced to Moombahton in 2011.
Mm.
So that's from there I started getting more. I was already into electronic, you know, more of that old school stuff,
For
the old
sure.
school techno, you know. But yeah, then Moombahton, and I'm not gonna lie to you, at first I wasn't a big fan.
Oh man, here we go. It's exactly what I was gonna ask you.
I felt like I wasn't a fan because I got introduced with like some very hardcore stuff that I was like,
Mm.
wow, this is like it was too much for me at first, you know what I mean? And then after that, I was like,
Yeah.
then I started digging in, and then you know seeing sets, and I was like, okay, okay, maybe there is something there.
It grew. It grew. I had the same experience, and I always like to ask people this. When I first heard it, I did not like it. I did not like it. It felt too slow. I heard like bootleg remixes and stuff like that, so I just didn't understand it. I understood reggaeton obviously, but I before that I was making electro house, so it's like to hear stuff that was like one Latin and then slow. I was just like, this is a complete mind fuck for me right now. Like I cannot get into this. But it grew on me, eventually, like less than a year, it grew on me and, made the first Sasson EP just off of that, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. Same thing with me. I once I started getting more into the hardcore EDM, to me was Dirty Dutch, right? So me hearing
Yeah.
slow down, you know, EDM, I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? This is dope. It's reggaeton, but it's not reggaeton. It's you know something else. But I mean, you know, like I said, it grew into me as well. And then man, after that, it was a game, man. I loved it, and you know what I mean. And look at it now.
Oh,
It's so
forget
fun
it.
to me. I always go back to it, even if I try to get away from it. I end up, you know, it's one of those ex girlfriends that you just always.
Oh, you can't let it go. You can't let it go. Every time you see it, like, wait a minute, come back. One more time, one more time. Oh man. So tell me about CRTV. Like what led you to like start that up?
Oh man, I always wanted to do my own label for a long time, and you know I've helped out a lot of homies, you know, start up the labels. I usually was one of their first releases, and then I finally gave it a go. I was like, you know what, I'm releasing a bunch of stuff. Why not do it on my own? So that's how it was, man. And CRTV, I mean, is an acronym to creative music. Um,
Mm.
so you know what I mean. It was just be creative, have fun. You know, like I wanted to keep showing that it's okay um, to do everything. It doesn't have to be just underground. You know, you could find a medium between underground and more commercial stuff. You know, there's always a medium.
Yeah.
And to me, you know, that's what I've been doing more. You know, and studying a lot more. Let's figure out the medium. How can I show examples of not just being stuck, you know, on that underground, which is dope. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong.
Of course.
But I learned that being stuck in the underground, you only get so far.
Yeah. There is a ceiling.
Exactly. So to me, it was just like, oh, I was like, I always wanted to do that labels, you know, label stuff. And I wanted to have more control too, just based on experiences, man.
Of
I've had a
course.
lot of bad experiences with labels. So,
I think we all have.
yeah, it led me to learn, you know, go read contracts, you know, go back to the old contracts, read them, figure it out. I don't understand like most of it, but I understand enough where, I won't get screwed over anymore. You know, I'm going to ask a lot of
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. Avoid a bad situation.
Correct. You know, and the same thing, you know, I just want to show and help, you know, not only that, man, help myself. You know, I feel like I've helped a lot of people. So I was like, oh, you know, it's time to put my own little grain of rice to grow and, you know, for
Hmm.
me. So
It's important, man.
yeah, that's where that comes from. And, you know, working with dope artists, you know, um,
I see
with
that.
with the label, you know, I've worked with, Jefferson D Lion. He's from Colombia, but lives in Texas. And then my other homie, Manny the Cruz, he's from out here in the DMV area. He's from Maryland. Um, he's dope. He's, you know, they're all dope, you know, and it's just stuff like that. I want to keep looking for artists, give opportunities, you know, as well as, you know, potentially do more collaborations where we could put it out there. We don't get stuck on just SoundCloud or, you know, Bandcamp or just YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
It's more than just remix. I love doing remixes, but it's a lot more, you know what I mean?
Of
There's
course.
a there's there's a lot of opportunities and you never know, you know, how things blossom, you know?
At all. So that leads me right into my next question. So I see you do a ton of collaborations with different artists. Like, how do you navigate your career in 2023 between like social media, the changing of music, like, you know, everybody's like following trends, the TikToks, you know, like how do you navigate through that? Like, does that influence who you collaborate with and, you know, what type of songs you guys are creating, like at all?
Not really for me. It just I just, man, whatever I'm feeling, like, to be honest with you, as far as it goes. And you know, with social media now, man, it's really tough. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I be struggling myself. You know, it's so hard to keep up with everything. I feel like there's so many social media apps now
Mm-hmm.
that me personally, I can't post on every single one. Like, I get tired.
It's tough. You got to choose the lesser evil, you know, out of all of them.
Absolutely, and it's a job on its own, man. So it's just like, and don't get me wrong, it's part of it. So you have to learn at least a little bit, you know, like the basics to kind of help, because that's part of the game. You know, how far you want to get, learn it a little bit, and just work around it.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's tough, man. Even collaborations now, like I don't collaborate. I haven't collaborated with too many people compared to the beginning of my career. But not because I don't want to. It's just more because I really wanted to hone in on what I was doing. I wanted to make sure that I was happy with my level of quality, you know, that I could put out. And I'm getting to the point where I'm really, really happy. You know, obviously there's always going to be room for growth, but I want to, you know, I want to bring more to the table, you know? And
As you should.
not, yeah, and I'm not saying that people carried me or anything like that with my collaborations. Everything was always smooth, but definitely, you know, I'm going to be open with a little bit more, but like I'm also seeking, you know, a level of professionalism, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm to a point where it's a little bit more than a hobby for so many years that I've done it, and I'm having fun, you know?
Exactly. It seems like it.
Yeah, but I'm still having fun. And the biggest thing that I learned to accept that at the end of the day, this is still a business, you know? That's something that took me a really, really long time to learn and accept.
Yeah, that's one thing that like it has to be like if your right arm is your music, your left arm has to be the business. Like you can't have one without the other. Like there's a certain level that you need to like keep keep on the up and up of what's going on business wise too, as well as being a creative on top of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, everybody I collaborate, they're friends, but at the same time, I try to teach and guide, from what I know, own experiences as well, vice versa. And I'm like, hey, we're cool and all, but like, let's do this the right way.
Exactly. Exactly. So we're speaking about collaborations. I want to play two of your collaborations. You talked about Jefferson D Lion and Manny D Cruz. So I want to play two of those, and then I got a question for you about collaborations.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll jump right into that. This is Alarma. But I want to talk to you more about collaborations because you said something that really like not what is the word? What is the word here? It really like piqued my interest. So you talked about collaborations and doing a certain amount. Like say like you collab with another producer, you want to feel like you actually did something in the track. Like where do you stand on that? Like where do you feel like, okay, I did enough that I feel like I'm a part of this song, if you collaborate with another like producer?
I mean, honestly, I feel like I never do enough, even though I do a lot, don't get me wrong, but like no, I wanted to feel equal, you know what I mean? Like that we both did enough to where we're both happy, because I've had experiences in the past where I've sent out collaborations and not to talk shit or anything like that, or I'm not naming names as well, but they've added like one thing and I'm like, yo, what you do? And I'm like,
oh man.
You know what I mean? And to me, like I stuff like that, it kind of had me thinking. I'm like, no, we have to be both happy, and we have to bring,
100%.
We both have to, or whoever it is, if it's not just two people, whoever's doing the collaboration, bring something that's gonna really add value to it. You know what I mean?
Of course,
not just like a perk or snare or something. Very minimal.
It's like, nah, just mix the drums. Don't worry about it. It's yours. Craziness. But let's talk about what are your favorite collaborations? I have some of my favorite collaborations of yours, but I want to hear what are your favorite collaborations.
Oh man, the old school Happy Colors Pato. Oh man, that's my favorite collaboration. Oh man, I think one of your favorites too that you played from us with Locomotive.
Oh yes,
Happy Colors. Yeah. Man, I'll give you a great story with that one.
Go ahead, let's hear
it. First time in DC, it was his first time playing Moombahton Massive as well. Oh man, we almost got kicked out and called the cops on us because of that song. I came in hot in the hotel.
Oh man,
with all my studio gear, so they're ready to kick us out, and we did that right before the show, man. Maybe like maybe like an hour.
Jesus.
It was amazing, man. Those songs it doesn't take much, to be great.
Of course, man. It's all feelings, man. The feeling, like I talked about this with Who's John. It's like some of the best songs are not even like the most complicated or like perfectly structured songs. It's just the feeling that it gives you is like incredible, and that's why it's so great.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny, like these last two songs that you just played for me, with Jefferson and Manny. So that EP that I did with Jefferson, which Alarma came on, and I had an opportunity, for distribution with that one, and we knocked out that, I think it's 5-song EP in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, recorded, mixed, mastered, and produced.
That's fire.
Yeah, and those songs with Manny, they're usually like an hour. We were doing those, together. Like I was producing them and he was writing as I went.
Oh, that's amazing.
And right after we were done, the beat, maybe the writing and the beat was done in like an hour. And then I recorded him right after. And by the end of the night, we had a full song.
That's amazing, man. That's absolutely amazing. So let's talk about licensing really quick. I know you got some stuff that's been placed. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel that helps the music industry? Because for me, I feel like in this day and age, worrying about how many plays your song get is so irrelevant in comparison to like building a catalog and actually getting it a part of something bigger than just you releasing it. Like that's where I stand on it. What are your thoughts on like licensing and syncs and stuff?
No. I 100% agree, because I mean, streams, you only get paid so much, and you really have to work hard. If you don't have a solid fan base, then you're really not seeing much, out of
Exactly.
that. No, licensing, everything's been amazing, man. Like, I did, my first one was a Kmart commercial, back to school Kmart commercial.
I saw that. I saw that.
It
That's
was,
awesome.
yeah, it was so random. It was awesome. It was with this company, I believe they're in Portland, Oregon.
Mm,
They're called Marmoset, very exclusive. And we only got it because of the artist I work with. Her name is Michelle Weiland.
yes.
So I got it with her. But for the actual what's it called? The actual commercial. They just used the beep, which was dope. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, so that was the first one. I was like, after that, I was like, oh man, this is the most I've ever been paid.
I know.
So I
Those
started like,
checks.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, and then even after, like, I think after like a year or two, like I was still getting checks. I was like, what? I mean,
Nice
they weren't big as the
residuals.
first one. Yeah, exactly. They weren't as big as the first ones, but I was like, oh, like,
Still. Especially when you're not expecting it. Oh my God.
absolutely. I was like, this is a whole business I didn't know, you know, like this is a whole different part of the music industry that you're not really aware of, you know. And then there's a lot more. Like, it's crazy. So it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of this, the way I look at it now, and like it's not even really forced in my head. It's just like, hey, like how, like I said, you know, I mentioned it earlier. I was like, how can I make something urban but yet commercial at the same time? You know, that median. So the reason I'm doing that is because of me finding those medians is the reason I found, you know, I've gotten those sync licensing, you know,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Except the only one, Big Phat. Big Phat was just because that was one of, actually that is my biggest record. Like,
Hmm.
that's the one releasing Diplo's Good Enuff label. So that is my biggest record. And when they hit us up about me and Snappy Jit about you know, Diplo having his show and I think at that time it was Vice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when they hit us up to it, like that was just random. Like that we were like, yeah, do it. You know, we were gonna fight it.
Of
And it's
course not.
amazing, amazing because what people don't know, just because you get paid directly with the SIG licensing, you also get paid that's considered a stream.
Yes. That's the other big part.
Yeah, that's considered a stream as well. So, you know, so all that stuff forced me to learn how to register my stuff, you know. um,
Super important, man. Super important. Sound exchange, ASCAP, all that stuff is so important.
absolutely. So yeah, because in the beginning I didn't know that, you know, I was just giving my songs out to labels and which is cool. Don't get me wrong. To begin with, I get it. You know, there's always a sacrifice for everything. You know,
Of course.
and I feel like that was my givings. You know, for something bigger. And from there, like I said, you know, those contracts I got. That's how I learned a bunch of stuff with contracts and yeah. But sync licensing, I think, is the most amazing thing. And I mean, to bring it up that you brought up the label as well. So with the label, I'm working sync licensing as well with my label.
There you go.
I have somebody that's working that stuff for me. So everything I release with the label is going to go through somebody trying to reach out for sync licensing.
That's awesome, man. That's really good to hear you doing that. Like, especially like how long I've known you've been doing it to know that you're up on these things and you're educating yourself and, you know, you have a team around you and, you know, artists that you fuck with. And, you know, like, this is awesome. It's really good to hear, man.
No, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's just like I said, it was a long time coming, man. And like I said, that's part of the industry that you, even if you don't want to learn it, like it's always great to know. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, even if it's a
Exactly.
hobby,
Of
you never know
course.
when the
Of
song's gonna blow
course.
up.
Yep. Keep putting them out. So do you have any dream collaborations? Like somebody that, you know, something is in the making or somebody you wanna, you know, work with?
Man, to be honest with you, I mean, yeah, like in most recent time, probably Skrillex, man, and I'm sure that's for everybody.
Yeah.
His production has always been great, and it's been very inspiring for me, you know, since the beginning, and
$100%.
especially the stuff that he's doing now, like even more, you know, like I'm
Incredible. Incredible. Because no rules, no limits, no boundaries, no nothing. He's just making the shit he wants to make. And it's fucking cool shit. As you should.
even though you know how they say like make stuff that's gonna get you blown up, and then you could do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I had that mentality like in the beginning, and you know, but then like I was like, nah, like I felt like I was being stuck on like a little bubble, and like my creative Juice was just leading and just less and less. And after that, man, I was like, I don't care, man. I'm gonna just start making music for me. And like at that moment, man, like the most amazing songs.
It's freeing, man. It's so freeing to know that there's no walls and there's no box and you can just do whatever. It's when the best shit comes out, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More being independent as well. You know, I've never had like somebody to tell me, hey, this is not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I learned stuff on my own. Like I'll put out a hard ass record, and if it works, it works. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I did it recently because I stopped releasing for a couple months. I believe I stopped releasing for like 2 months straight. Earlier in this year, and then out of nowhere, I just dropped every
nonstop. Nonstop. One of the things that I admired about your music a lot, and I still do, is the space you have in between instruments and how big the fucking drums sound. I really, really love that. Like, you do it so well, bro.
Thank you. No, that was a lot of experience and just working nonstop.
It sounds like it. It doesn't sound like an easy task, you know.
No, it took a lot, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, when I started, man, I didn't know shit about mixing. Like,
Nobody.
I just did the song. Oh, this sounds good, even though it sounded like shit. But put it out, and then little by little, I started hearing other people's. I'm like, hey, why does their stuff sound so good, and mine sounds like shit? You know. Little by little, I started understanding more, and then, you know, and especially in the last years, man, like, I was like, no, man, my stuff has to sound good. My stuff has to sound good. Not for anybody else, but I want to actually play I want to play my stuff, you know? Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't listen to my stuff a lot because obviously producing it, I hear so much that I take my time to get back to it. I'm sure, I don't know about a lot of producers doing that, but I do. I get back to it, don't get me wrong, but it takes me a while to listen to it after like hearing it for so long, producing and mixing. Like, I'm a perfectionist, but then I also learned, and it took me a long time, when to stop.
Yeah, that's important, man. That is so important because you could end up I look at it like this: your last mix, you may think, oh, this is dope. But then the next mix is going to be even better than that mix. It's always going to get better and better if you're progressing as an artist. So it's like to get stuck for so long, you're never, you know, like I listen to tracks from 10 years ago and I'm like, oh, I could have did that way better. But it's like, yeah, there's also 10 years ago and I'm also more experienced as an artist, as an engineer, as a producer now than I was before. So it's like, if I'm gonna spend 10 years in a song, I would never release music, like at all.
No, absolutely. So it's funny when like I started the first couple of years, that's how it was. It would take me like, I used to do a song a month because I was like overthinking it. I was doing too much. I would go add stuff, delete stuff, and now I'm to the point where like I can knock out like 10 songs a day if I really wanted to. You know, even more, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I get more ideas out than I get songs. Like I get a lot of ideas and I gotta like really, really love it. Like I might have a dope like 8-bar loop that's like, yo, this is fire, and I'll only play it for myself and I just won't finish the song. You know, it's like, this would be crazy if I finished it, you know?
No, I hear you. So I give myself the 30-minute rule. If I don't get enough in 30 minutes, I either delete the project or just save because I feel like there's something there and start something new.
That's brave.
Yeah, but see, it's like I had to do that because then I wasn't really challenging myself because I felt like I will go back to it the next day and then nothing, you know, I'll add, instead of having those 30-minute rule, I'll go for a whole hour and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting nowhere. And then I'll get pissed off and I don't want to do nothing else, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I started putting boundaries on myself, and I had to because like I said, I feel like that challenge, I feel like I work better under pressure.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where, you know, like I said, now it's just like I knock out stuff without even thinking. I'm literally not thinking about anything. And, oh, I heard a rhythm or I heard something in my head and I just start that way.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you got like a whole like rhythm and like path that you're on, that it's like, this is his sound. This is what he's doing. This is fire. Even like the different genres that you're doing, it's still like, it's your sound. Like, you know, it's very distinctive. It's like, okay, I can hear what he's doing every time. And I'm like, this is incredible, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that because I feel like that's because of that. People are scared to remix my stuff because my stuff has been the most least remixed compared to everybody else.
That's interesting. You think that's because people were afraid to do it, or you haven't asked people to do it? Like what is the case?
No, you know how usually people would just remix stuff just to remix it? Like
For sure.
I never really got that. Like every here and there, but it was very rare. Like I never got people to remix my stuff unless I asked them to, you know?
True.
But you know, back in the day, they would just go, I'm gonna go sample this and remix this and do my own damn thing about it. But like, nah, I never really got that from my music until like a little bit more recent. But even then, you know, like I've noticed that about my stuff. I was like, what am I doing something wrong, or is it just
definitely not? Definitely not doing anything wrong. It's, you know what it is? Sometimes when it's like, I know from my experience, when I listen to something, I'm like, I know people are going to want to remix this, but this is so good, I should just leave it alone. Like, I shouldn't touch it because it just sounds that good, you know? And that could be one of the cases. Like, the sound is polished. It sounds perfect. You know, it's like, why would I touch this? Like, if I don't have anything to add to it, I wouldn't even touch it, you know? Like,
yeah, I feel that. No, I mean, in more recent times, you know, like I have asked for stuff to be remixed, but I mean, it takes a while. They're like, oh, what am I gonna do? You know, they always get hit with that. What am I gonna do? I'm like, damn, maybe I just need to bring it down a little bit sometimes. But you know what I mean? That's just me talking to myself.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it'd be like that, man. But I want to ask you about a specific track. I want to ask you about Tranquilo. Like,
okay.
I would totally like not listen to anything for a while. Like this, I want to say this is around the time it came out. I wasn't really following what anybody was doing. And then when I heard this, I was like, these fucking guys, man. Like, this is so simple and it fucking works and it's so good. Like, what is that process like working with Gualtero?
Oh, you know what's something crazy, man? He was one of my first favorite Moombahton producers. That I never got in contact with him. We never talked until barely a couple years ago. And we got really cool because, I don't know, it was just very mutual and it was very cool. And so that beat itself, like the idea itself, was maybe a year old before I sent it to him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he took a while. He's a busy guy, so he took a while. And then I kind of started asking him. And then he finally finished it. He was like, hey, man, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have vocals. And I was like, cool. You know, I just stayed like that. And I don't know, one day I just received a message with the full track mixed, mastered, and everything. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, that's dope as shit.
He dropped it off delivered.
And then after that, it wasn't dropped until another year.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah,
because it sounds fresh though. Like that's the thing. When it came out, it sounded current. It sounded fresh. It sounded like you know, you can tell when somebody's been holding on to something for too long. And this did not have that sound like at all. I was just like, oh my god! Like you can play this anywhere at any moment right now for the next like 10 years, and it's still gonna hit the same way. Like. There's not a lot of tracks that do that. Not a lot of songs.
Absolutely. Nah, man, but Waltero's a beast, man. I feel like that's why I feel like he's always been one of my favorite producers, especially his drumming.
Oh my god.
Especially now in time too, man. It's been amazing. Like I feel like every year he gets better.
It seems like it. It seems like I'm following. I see him moving around. I see him in the festivals. I see him doing, you know, interviews and all this stuff. Like I'm putting him on my list. I'm gonna grab him when he's you know, free. Sit down and have a conversation. I'm hunting behind the scenes. Everybody. I'm trying to get the guys who are living remotely right now and just out of the scene and stuff and pull them back and just like, hey, let's get on a phone call real quick. You know. So who's inspiring you? Like who's inspiring you? Who are you listening to right now? It doesn't even have to be like electronic music. Just like, what are you listening to and who's inspiring you?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't listen to a lot of music. I try not to. And not even in this inspiration aspect. Like when I feel like I'm in a creative block, I just listen to random stuff, man. I listen to a lot of Afrobeats are my favorite. The Afro House is dope. Kuduro is amazing. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just, I try to listen to everything when I feel like, as far as I guess a creativeness, because again, you know, back to the whole remixing thing, I try to mix a lot of things into one. Like, I feel like you can't do too much if you know how to bring it together.
100%.
You know what I mean? So to me, it's not really like, I don't really look for anybody to inspire me. Like back into the conversation, that I just start something and I just do it and I just continue it. Like I'm telling you, I really don't think about it. Like I'm not seeking to follow somebody's footsteps or try to sound like somebody. I'm just like, oh man, this sounds amazing. And then
For sure.
and like I said, I just try to mix, like, well, whatever I start, like whatever it sounds like, because right away, like when I start something, I kind of already hear what genre is gonna be. Like, you know, whether I start a melody or I sample a vocal and chop it up, and I'm like, oh man, this is baile funk, this is Afro house, or this is gonna be a Latin house. Like I don't really, like, I'm not the type of person that's just gonna get stuck on one genre and just, this is what I'm making for the whole week. You know what I mean? Like I go in the moment, you know, but like based on what I create, not necessarily being inspired by anybody. Not that, you know, all these producers out there killing it, but
you heard it first. Los is not inspired by none of y'all. I'm joking.
Nah, but you know, I just want to do me. You know what I mean? Like,
of course, as you should.
Yeah. So I don't really, you know, I love a bunch of producers, but I'm just trying to figure out myself. You know, I guess, to put it that way. And figuring out myself is just, it's getting fun, man. It's inspiring me. Like I guess I inspire myself.
Oh, look at it. He looking in the mirror is like, you inspire me, boss.
Absolutely. Like that Snoop Dogg meme, I want to thank me.
Exactly. Los is getting up every morning before coffee, just thanking himself for being here.
No, but I'm not gonna lie to you. When I have like, you know, that creative block where I'm having a bad day, like I'll go listen to my stuff that when I first started, you know, and then throughout the years, I'm like, okay, maybe I am doing something. Maybe I am doing something right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
to hype up my mood and hype up myself.
That's fire. You got to be your own cheerleader.
Yeah, you have to sometimes. Yeah, definitely. Even like, yeah. Don't expect people to have the same, what's it called? Like, have them applaud the way you're gonna applaud. You know, sometimes you literally have to applaud for yourself and tap yourself in the back.
Of course,
it does take a lot.
It does. It definitely does. How do you feel about AI, man? The AI music stuff, the fully generated songs, like, how are you feeling about that?
At first I was just like, what the fuck, you know, in the aspect, I'm like, damn, this is crazy. Not necessarily like, it's like that I didn't expect it. But to be honest with you,
yeah,
I think it's so dope because I don't think people see it this way, but like, let's say you had your dream collaboration, whether it's an artist. Well, let's just say an artist, right? Let's say you do this whole AI thing, create a whole song with this, you know, AI artist of your dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like, it's one of the dopest shit that you could ever create. Well, imagine sending it to the artist and they're like, oh, I love this so much, I'm going to record it. You know what I mean? Like, it's already done. All they got to do is just re-record it. Like, I've even read, you know, some artists saying, this is too good and it sounds like me so much that I'm not even going to record it. Let's just release it.
That's crazy.
So I feel like it's an opportunity for people to take advantage, to get, you know, their dream collaborations with artists more than anything, to be honest with you.
That's true. That's true. And I've been saying this to a lot of people, like all these big artists who are selling off their publishing and these big companies and these what's it called, like these hedge funds that are buying it. Like, something big is coming in the music industry that nobody's going to be ready for. Only select few actually know that's going to change music. Like, I feel like we're overdue, you know, from tapes to CDs to streaming. And, you know, the MP3s are not really a thing unless you actually make music. And so, you know, AI and people selling off their publishing, I think something else is coming out there, and, you know, it's going to change everything. Again,
absolutely. I feel like the next big wave of whatever is new is coming, and people better be ready to hop on it for themselves. You know what I mean?
100%. You got to keep that open mind.
Exactly. You know, like, just like AI, I know a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was not fond of it in the beginning, but now I'm like just looking at it as like, how can I use this as a tool? You know, like there's no reason why a computer should be just fully generating songs, but like, how do I take this and apply it to what I'm doing? Or, you know, generate ideas and samples and stuff like that that I could use or reinterpret or replay, you know, things like that, as opposed to like, oh, let's let it make the beat for me, you know, like, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can tell you the way I use it. Like, I use AI to remove vocals.
It's a big one.
Strip the vocals, and it'll give me a vocal and instrumental. And the quality, 9 times out of 10, is so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell in my remixes, because majority of them are AI removed. So, especially the last recent ones in the last year and a half.
That's fire.
So that's something, you know, AI that has done an amazing thing for me, that has helped me do remixes to sound like a amazing quality as far as the vocal removal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because of these remixes, it's gotten me amazing opportunities, and you know, a certain amount of clout that people look for my remixes. You know,
and that's what's important, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, the quality, and to me, the quality has always been important, and every year I feel like it's more important. You know?
Yeah.
I'm happy. You know, I'm happy with AI in that aspect.
100%. So, after being in the game for over 10 years, we all experience the highs and the lows. Like, what are your words of wisdoms for like the up and coming guys and artists, you know, a producer, somebody who's trying to get into music, or maybe somebody who's experiencing, you know, a situation that they don't know what the next step is? Like, what is your advice?
Oh man, I could go with this a bunch of ways. One, definitely don't quit your job if you're going to pursue music.
That's a big one.
You know what I mean? That's a big one. And I tell you this because I've done it. And it was probably one of the greatest experiences in my life. Don't get me wrong, but it was tough.
It's very tough. Very tough.
Don't do it until you're generating enough money or equal to what you were already making, you know, for a living. And also, man, just quality, like learn how to mix, learn how to compress, learn how to use the plugins, even if they're stock plugins, man, they're amazing. Like, that's
how you start.
Yeah, like the little stuff, you know, learn contracts, you know, learn how to register your music more than anything, to be honest with you. I think that's one of the biggest important things.
Yep. Sound exchange, please.
Sound exchange, song trust.
Yes.
BMI. Oh, I'll give you a good thing that I learned in the last couple of years. So you could actually register your stuff in Sound Exchange and Song Trust, because some of the stuff that one doesn't get, the other gets.
Yeah.
So that's something that I learned.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and because I was told that you can only register for one case. And I learned that directly from one of the workers at Sound Exchange.
Oh, that's awesome. They're giving away jewels.
Yeah, so I learned that. When I learned that, I was like, that's amazing. You know what I mean? And also learn publishing, you know, publishing the master of your tracks. You know, that's a whole nother royalty right there. I didn't know that either as well, you know. I had to learn all that stuff.
It's another check, man.
Yeah, absolutely. A whole nother check. And that's how you get paid for sync licensing, by the way.
Yeah. Yep. When you see that extra additional check come, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. So, and the biggest thing is just have fun, you know, keep working every day or every other day, you know, or whatever your schedule is. And if you're really trying to make it in this industry, which is really, really tough, be ready for sacrifices, because there is a lot, especially, well, with any career you're going for. But if you're not willing to make the sacrifice, then music is not it.
Exactly, man. Listen, I appreciate you so much taking the time to talk to me here. Thank you. Yo, listen, you are inspiration. Even to me, you are inspiration. You motivate me and probably tons of other people on the internet, like, to do cool shit and to make cool shit and do it themselves and put it out. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. And, you know, I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see what you do next, man. I really, really can't.
No, absolutely. No, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everybody, even everybody that follows me. And there's a lot of people that follow me for a long time. So I appreciate everybody. I see everything, even if I'm quiet.
Yeah.
I see everything.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming, and hopefully sooner than later.
That's what's up. It's good to hear.